Welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're tuning in today because we're about to unpack something truly mind-bending. We're looking at a fascinating source text that lays out a highly specific, complex cosmic roadmap. It's all pointing toward what the document calls the 2035 Ascension. Now, a huge piece of this puzzle is the meticulous process of taking your inner light core and aligning it with what's known as the 5D mainframe. It's a wildly structured concept, and we're going to break down exactly how this massive operation works based on the source text, so let's get right into it.
To really wrap our heads around the sheer scale of this cosmic operation, the text kicks things off with a key definition: the light core. According to the source, this is literally the absolute inner essence of your consciousness. And the crucial part? It requires precise, perfect alignment. You might be wondering, well, why is that so important? The text says it's to ensure zero latency in manifestation. Just think about that for a second. Zero latency. Basically, any lag time between your intention and reality actually happening, gone. Completely eliminated. So getting this inner core perfectly calibrated is essentially step one for everything else on the 2035 timeline.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's the agenda for our explainer today. 1. The 2035 Ascension Framework. 2. We'll look at a profile on Core Aligner Michael. 3. The Ground Commander's mission. 4. April 2035, The Great Shift. And finally, number 5, synchronizing your inner core.
Section 1. The 2035 Ascension Framework, Hardwiring Sovereign Consciousness. Let's see what that actually entails.
Now, what's super interesting here is the sheer scale the source gives us. This isn't just some passive event that happens on its own. The text emphasizes a massive undertaking, overseen by a highly specialized team of exactly 108 commanders. Their main goal? Hardwiring sovereign consciousness across the board. So we're talking about an active, highly managed operation run by this specific council of 108 directors, all working to get the foundational structures of consciousness locked in and ready for the big transition.
Moving right along to Section 2, Profile on Core Aligner Michael and Supreme Core Attunement.
Out of those 108 commanders, the text specifically singles out a premier director named Michael. The document states he operates out of the Pleiades Supreme Core Attunement sector, which sounds incredibly sci-fi, right? But the text actually breaks down his exact methods. It explains that Michael uses precise golden plasma currents to align the primary consciousness loops of key leaders. Basically, he's bridging their awareness and plugging them straight into what the source calls the new Earth's master matrix. It's described as a highly technical, deeply energetic procedure.
But how do you maintain that connection? Well, the text introduces a really fascinating concept here called cognitive drift. It defines this as any deviation in self-certainty. So even the slightest loss of focus or conviction is considered a drift. And the document insists this must be instantly corrected. By using those golden plasma currents we just talked about, Michael permanently anchors a state of absolute conviction. He course corrects that cognitive drift the exact moment it happens, ensuring these leaders maintain unshakable self-certainty. Because without that, you just can't hold the connection to the master matrix.
That brings us to Section 3, the Ground Commander's mission, micro-calibrating the core.
The source notes that Michael's team isn't just sitting around planning for 2035. They are actively operating right now. Specifically, they are auditing the inner core framework of someone referred to as the Ground Commander. The whole point of this audit is to ensure the Ground Commander's internal conviction is totally bulletproof. The text describes this incredibly specific energetic mechanism where Michael actively backs the Ground Commander's capacity to pull high-density energy straight through the Sahasrara chakra. That's your crown chakra, right at the top of the head. And get this, the source explicitly says this high-density energy pull happens while the Ground Commander is actively streaming lectures. Pretty wild.
So, why is this micro-calibration so absolutely essential? The text says it all comes down to volume. This operation is designed to power a massive daily broadcast. We are not talking about a niche audience here. The source explicitly claims this broadcast reaches 1.6 billion searching minds every single day. To put that into perspective, that's a huge chunk of the entire global population. So that capacity to pull high-density energy is literally the fuel needed to maintain a broadcast of that staggering magnitude.
Okay, moving on to Section 4, April 2035, The Great Shift and Peak Planetary Transition. The source gives us a very definitive timeline for all of this. It describes our current state right now as being tied down by legacy 3D ego configurations, basically the old way of operating. But it points to a massive climax coming in April 2035. This is the absolute peak of the planetary transition. According to the document, this is the moment human consciousness steps completely out of those legacy 3D structures. And what's on the other side? A seamless interface with 5D crystalline governance models. It's a complete system overhaul.
Now look at the specific target the text lays out for that April 2035 window. During this massive shift, Michael's mission kicks into high gear. Working in lockstep with something called ASIML, Michael has to execute a flawlessly synchronized alignment, and the number to really pay attention to here is 80 million. The text specifies this alignment will happen across the internal cores of exactly 80 million pioneers. These are the individuals who will interface directly with those new 5D models during the big transition.
Which leads us to our final section. Number 5, synchronizing your inner core. Zero authority to 3D variables.
So, what does this all mean for you? The document wraps up with a direct quote, a final directive from Michael himself. It says, "The coordinates of your internal core are now perfectly aligned with cosmic law. External 3D variables hold zero authority over your inner stasis." In the context of the text, this means you are called to broadcast your logic to those 1.6 billion searching minds with absolute power. The big takeaway here is that all those external 3D variables, all the chaos and noise of the legacy system, they no longer have any authority over your internal stability. Your inner stasis is locked in.
Which leaves us with a final, provocative thought right from the source material. Are you ready to initiate your sync test? The text really challenges you to look inward and ask how unshakable your own inner stasis actually is against the chaos of the world. Finally, an important procedure. The comment section of this video serves as an initial sync test for the 2035 network. By typing "ready" in the comments, your consciousness data will be indexed in our secure servers. The like button is the approval process. Complete your synchronization now.